Instant match reaction, Chelsea 2, Everton 0 at Stamford Bridge. Carlo Ancelotti's Toffees falling to a defeat to Chelsea tonight, who were just a better side, let's be honest. They really, really are. They're such a difficult team to play against. Thomas Tuchel's got them so well organised, and whilst they don't score an awful lot of goals, they certainly don't concede an awful lot of goals either. Again, that was quite evidently on show today. It's disappointing. It is disappointing, certainly given the 2 goals that we conceded were through mistakes for me. Chelsea got forward on a number of occasions, and I think Jordan Pickford kept the scoreline down fantastically. If I think it wasn't for Jordan Pickford, it could have been 5-6 maybe even tonight, but Jordan Pickford pulled up with some fantastic saves, albeit made the mistake for the penalty, which, you could say he shouldn't be running out at, but again, I suppose that's one of those situations. Like I said, he kept us in the game on a number of occasions, certainly when it was 1-0 as well, and that Alonso save in the first half was massive. But, again, can we really be too disheartened about that result? Ultimately, we've come up against a much better side. I think the difference between Everton and Chelsea is that was a side that are fighting for top 4 in the sense is that, we go on a nice little run in Everton and we pick up points against sides we should do. We might just sneak in there, and a side in Chelsea who for me are nailed on for top 4. They just pass the ball a lot better than we could do. They console it a lot more. Like I said, defensively they're very difficult to get behind, and coming forward they've got players in attack. I mean, Timo Werner couldn't finish his dinner all day. He had about 2 or 3 opportunities and missed every single one of them. Kai Havertz ran the show, and like I said, I think we were just beaten by a much better side today. Didn't help that we didn't have Abdoulaye Doucouré, of course. I don't want to speculate too much on Abdoulaye Doucouré. I'm sure we'll hear from Carlo Ancelotti tonight or tomorrow or at some point regarding Abdoulaye Doucouré. There's a couple of rumours floating about that he might have picked up a fractured toe or a fractured foot or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see what the club say. But his energy was massively missed today. And if he is out for a sustained period of time, and we're looking now at the business end of the season being played without Abdoulaye Doucouré in the team, then Carlo Ancelotti really needs to find where that energy is going to come from, because it certainly doesn't come from Andre Gomez or, Gylfi Sigurdsson in that midfield. I said at the start of the game, Alan was going to need to be that player that does the running around, and he did for large parts of the game. He got about the pitch well, but he just doesn't bring the energy that Abdoulaye Doucouré does. And to be fair to Alan, nobody brings the energy that Abdoulaye Doucouré does. Even when he's not having a great game in terms of his passing or keeping hold of the ball, he's still running around and getting the ball and putting pressure on the opposition, whereas today we just simply didn't have anybody to do that. And like I said, we couldn't get involved up top. I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin touched the ball more than maybe 10 times. Richarlison was okay in terms of holding the ball up, but quite wasteful when it comes to, running at Chelsea's back line. And other than that, we didn't have much in the game. Like I said, some people coming into this game thought, right, this is a massive game for the fight, and it was a massive game for the challenge for top 4, and it was always going to be like that. But some people thought, right, this is a crunch game in terms of whether we're going to finish in the top 4 or not, and some thought it was a free hit at a side that are playing really well at the moment, and like I said, don't concede many goals whatsoever, certainly not under Thomas Tuchel, who's got them playing fantastically. And said it before, this was a game of a side that are fighting for the European position and probably, are massively overachieving this season in terms of Everton and where we are in the league, and a team in Chelsea who invested £200 million in the summer and have got the option to bring on the likes of Mason Mount and N'Golo Kante off the bench when they've already started with a fantastic lineup. And that's the difference today for me. I think Chelsea made 4 or 5 changes to their starting 11, the team that won it a couple of days ago, and there was no drop off in quality whatsoever. There wasn't any drop off in quality. Kai Havertz was excellent. Timo Werner, okay, he couldn't finish his dinner, but he was still getting in the right areas and causing us issues. And we make a couple of changes. We drop James out the squad and Abdoulaye Doucouré out the team, and even Seamus Coleman out the team, and we're drastically worse than we are with our best players in there. And that just shows the difference in quality, I suppose, and the difference in squad depth. But like I said, for me, arguably the most frustrating thing tonight is that the goals that we conceded were through individual errors. I mean, the first goal is a dreadful goal to concede, and it's not on Ben Godfrey either, by the way. He's just unfortunately standing in a place where the ball's come across and it's going out and it hits him and it goes in the back of the net. That part of the goal didn't really frustrate me much whatsoever, because that's unlucky. Sometimes you get those bad deflections and the ball ends up in the back of the net. It's the build-up play to it. The defending by Alex Iwobi and Mason Holgate was nothing short of embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing. Mason Holgate, I think he thinks he's playing in central midfield, because he just leaves his position completely and runs into the centre of midfield to challenge a man who's going to get nowhere near. I can't remember who it is, whether it's Jorginho or somebody else in that middle, but he turns completely, passes it down. Iwobi may as well be sitting in the stands having a cup of tea. Alonso just walks freely into the box, and when you're putting a ball across the box, it very literally just does need a touch, and okay, it's going wide by Kai Havertz, but it literally just needs a slight touch and it can go anywhere, and that was it. And that, like I said, both goals we conceded, that and the penalty, were through individual mistakes. That was an individual mistake by Mason Holgate and Alex Iwobi. I don't think either of them had a good game whatsoever today. I think they were both really poor, and I think it highlighted the fact that we need an entire new right-hand side this summer. And the second, obviously, was from Jordan Pickford. And look, we can sit here all day and talk about Jordan Pickford running out and making a rash decision, and maybe he should have kept his line, maybe he should have had a bit more trust in Ben Godfrey to deal with that situation, maybe he should have just stayed and accepted the shot. He didn't, he ran out, the penalty was given. But let's be honest, if Jordan Pickford wasn't there today, we concede 4 or 5 goals. He made 4 or 5 absolutely massive saves. So yes, he made a mistake, but he still comes out of it man of the match for me in an Everton shirt today, because name another Everton player that had as much of an impact on that game than Jordan Pickford did. And that just shows how much Everton were in that game. By the way, we weren't whatsoever, and we had played this tactic that we've played a lot against these types of sides, and I was being successful a lot against these types of sides. It was successful in the derby, it was successful against Chelsea at Goodison, and that's the sit back, frustrate, allow the opposition to play in front of you and only have 20% of possession. And that works when the time you have the ball, you utilise it well, and you're moving it well, and you're keeping it, and you're not giving it away easily. And then when you're getting forward, you're taking your opportunities. Today, we didn't have any of that. The odd time that we had the ball, we gifted it far too comfortably back to Chelsea, and even when we were getting forward, we didn't take our chances, be it Iwobi, Dean put a good ball into the box at one point, and there was no one in there to take it. Like I said, we had Bernard had a shot towards the end of the game, which was fired wide. Gomez had a shot which didn't trouble Mendy whatsoever. We just never troubled Chelsea's back line, and we did have 2 or 3, good opportunities to run at them and to maybe create some space and create an opportunity, but just never come off for us whatsoever. And like I said, when you come out of these games, the result isn't necessarily the worst result. It's not. I don't think it's anything for us to overreact to. We've gone to Stamford Bridge, where we haven't won in 27 years, and we've been beaten by a side who, like I said, are nailed on for Champions League football. There's more chance for me in Manchester United and Leicester not finishing in that top 4 than there is Chelsea, because they are just so difficult to beat, so difficult to play against, and they showed that today. But when we're making silly mistakes to gift them goals, I mean, that first goal is pretty much gifted. Alonso, Alex Iwobi may as well just say, go on, run into that space there, and we'll allow you an opportunity. And like I said, the deflection's harsh and the penalty is gifted to them. But for me, Jordan Pickford's man of the match today, because he made a couple of fantastic saves. I don't think anybody was particularly great, to be honest with you. Alan had a decent game. Gomez, again, I don't want to scapegoat anybody. Gomez, Holgate, Dean, Iwobi, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, I think they were all pretty abysmal today. I don't think any of them were really in the game. And that, again, like I said, when you come up against a team like Chelsea, you do have a lot of the ball and move it well and play some nice football. And like I said, just a level above. This game tonight reminded me of, Manchester United earlier on in the season at Goodison Park, where we all just sort of accepted, right, these are a better footballer side than us, these are, they deserve to win, they're a better team than us, they've got a better squad than us, move on and go again next week. That's very much what it reminded me of, but it is the individual mistakes that sort of stick in your throat, and you think, well, if Iwobi just doesn't completely leave Alonso, or if Mason Holgate doesn't run into the midfield thinking he's bloody Andre Pirlo, then we probably don't concede the first goal, and maybe if Jordan Pickford doesn't run out as rash as he did, we don't concede the penalty. Because Chelsea didn't have an awful lot of opportunities either, but I suppose that's the side of a very good team, is you take the opportunities that you have, and you don't allow the opposition to get in the game. And Everton have done that on a number of occasions this season as well. We've taken our opportunities and we haven't let the opposition get back into the game. But today, we just, like I said, defensively, I think was very poor. I think when we were a back 5, I've said it before and I'll say it again, a back 5 does not work whatsoever. This Everton team, this group of defenders cannot play in a back 5. Mason Holgate may as well have been sat next to me on the couch in that back five because he can't play it. Alex Iwobi and Mason Holgate were both playing right back. We had 2 right backs for the first 45 minutes of the game. It wasn't until Davis come on and the system sort of changed a little bit that we looked more comfortable defensively. We were still allowing them far too much time. They got in behind us on about 5 or 6 occasions, and like I said, if it's not for Jordan Pickford or Ben Godfrey's little turn of pace, I think we could have conceded easily another couple of goals today. But look, ultimately, again, maybe a lot of people did see it as a free hit today, and we've gone to a very, very good side, a side that don't concede many goals, don't lose many games, and we've lost. And it makes the Burnley game on Saturday just absolutely massive. Now, if we want to fight for a European position, forget Champions League, forget Europa League, just a European position, finishing in a European place for next season, then the game against Burnley it's not acceptable to come away without 3 points. I mean, at the end of the season, we can look back at Chelsea away and think Chelsea had a very good side. They were very well organised, they were solid, they had a lot of investment, they've got a brilliant squad, they're in a much better situation than Everton are. Fair enough. If we don't beat Burnley on Saturday, then you aren't going to be able to say any of those scenarios that it'd just be an absolute travesty. Is this squad good enough to play in the Champions League? Probably not, no. Let's be honest. But we knew that anyway. We absolutely knew that anyway. I don't think anybody would have been under the illusion if we do, which is still a possibility, finishing the top 4 position come the end of this season. I don't think any Evertonian will sit back and go, right, that's sound, I'm happy with this squad, go into next season with this exact squad, we'll do well in the Champions League. We don't. Be it finishing in the Champions League or not, we still need to invest another arguably 80 to 100 million pounds in the summer. I say 80 to 100 million because we got Godfrey, Alan, Hammers and Decore for 60 million, and they've all been excellent this season. So like I said, 50 to 100 million probably again in the summer if we do finish in a European position, because you're right, this squad isn't good enough. To look at our bench today and think, you've got Josh King and Bernard and Tom Davis, who are the only 3 players that have got any sort of real first team experience. I mean, Josh King hasn't made an impact at all, has he? And I don't particularly put that down to Josh King, but he hasn't made an impact whatsoever. Bernard, very inconsistent. Tom Davis has been very good, but isn't really a player that's going to come on and score a goal or create an opportunity per se. And then the rest of your bench is an 18-year-old Tyler Onyango who's played a dozen minutes in his Everton professional career so far. Nkunku, who started the season fantastically, but we haven't seen for about 3 months. Broadhead, who hasn't played a minute of first team football. 2 goalkeepers on the bench, both of whom haven't played first team football. Harry Taran and João Virginia. I think Kyle John was on the bench again today, who hasn't played a minute of first team football. And then you look at Chelsea's bench, and they're bringing on N'Golo Kante, who's a Premier League winning centre midfielder who's been an excellent player in the Premier League for the last 5 or 6 years. They're bringing on Mason Mount, who's been fantastic this season, and that's the difference. That is the difference in quality and the difference in strength, in depth. And like I said, I don't think it's a massive need for an overreaction. Were we good enough today? No, we weren't. We were still boring to watch in the first half, and we didn't get back into the game in the second half. And I understand, and maybe my words might have been a little bit misconstrued the other day when I said I don't care if we play boring football as long as we win. I do care if we play boring football if we don't win games of football. What I meant by that is if we win every game and it's awful to watch, I don't care. But ultimately, we're not winning every game, and we won't go the rest of the season unbeaten. For me, we'll lose again. But it's important that the games that we expect to win, we win, and that starts with Burnley on Saturday. Nothing less than 3 points is acceptable. Nothing less. Tonight, we can scratch it off, write it off, put it in the back of the, put it to the back of the room and say, right, they're a much better side, whatever, move on. Saturday, we can't do that, we have to win. So yeah, there you go. Disappointing, frustrating, certainly with the individual mistakes and the errors to lead to Chelsea's goals, but ultimately they were just much better than us on the day, and I don't think there's much more to say than that. If you've enjoyed the video, leave it a like. Don't forget, by the way, this video is sponsored by Football News 365. Absolutely fantastic app. You can click on the link in the description, download it on iOS, Android, all of that good stuff. Keeps you up to date with all your latest Everton news, scores, predictions, fixtures, etc. But yeah, Carlo Ancelotti's winning run comes to an end, and it was to a better side today, let's be perfectly honest. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.